Now, this is the meat of the moment, showing us where our shark went. The meat of the moment, fart in your eyes. All right, why is this not? There we go. Back here, will you?
8,000 can be done without affecting.
Hold on. Here we go. Yeah. Special report by Brett Baier. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you a spatial report by Brett Baier. Brett Baier. And it involves Elon and some Doge bags. And we'll learn a little bit about them, which is good because I'm working on a little dossier for all these dipshits. And here we go. This is, we dive in. Now, I got to prepare you. There's going to be a lot of people talking in a way that is in an attempt to make themselves sound smart. And I don't expect that most of you will be fooled by this, but I would like to point out that there will be a lot of jargon and first-person-y bullshit and attempts to obfuscate through complexity. I will do my best to kind of straighten some of that shit out so we can ride this out together. But ladies and gentlemen, the Doge bags and Elon Musk.
Thanks for having us and doing this.
It's a cookbook. Thanks for having us.
I know there's a lot of interest in this. You know, first let me start with you, Elon. What are the budgetary savings goals, and how much do you think you've achieved so far?
What are you trying to do? Okay, $1 trillion, 15%. We're on track, and we've saved so much money, even the money we didn't save that was never saved that we spent anyways.
Our goal is to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion. From a nominal deficit of $2 trillion to try to cut the deficit in half to $1 trillion, or looked at it in total federal spending to drop the federal spending from $7 trillion to $6 trillion. We want to reduce the spending by eliminating waste and fraud, reduce the spending by 15%, which seems really quite achievable. The government is not efficient, and
the government is not efficient. Yes, because it prioritizes effectiveness over efficiency. You see, often systems that are really efficient are meant to be quick and dirty because you know what the system is. It's the same all the time. There are very few moving parts, and it's very repetitive. But when real life enters into the picture, that's where you get redundancies. And let me tell you something. The launching of nuclear weapons is terribly inefficient. There are far too many steps from an efficiency standpoint. All these redundancies and questions and whether or not and who and can you, and you got to ask this person, and then this has to be signed off on. And unless we're under a first strike, the missiles won't go. Like, that's very inefficient for a fucking reason.
there's a lot of waste and fraud. So
No, there isn't. This trust me, bro bullshit doesn't work. You can't just throw around waste and fraud as if they're in the same category, for one, because one's on purpose, and the evidence you need to prove that one is way fucking higher, and the waste one is a matter of opinion with you assholes.
I feel confident that a 15% reduction can be done without affecting any of the critical government services.
I'm going to talk to all the guys.
If not making it better.
I'm going to talk to all the guys here about the specifics.
Already that's not true.
But for you, what's the most astonishing thing you've found out in this process?
You know what I think is, thanks for asking, Brett. The most astonishing thing is that they're accusing people of all this fraud and no one's going to jail. That's right. Yeah. Massive billions of dollars of fraud, and then nobody's going to jail. Isn't that weird? Fraud, which is criminal. And there's not even a single case. They found it all. And there's not even charges pending. Not even a name. And scene.
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government. It is astonishing. It's
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
mind-blowing. We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more.
We routinely encounter $1 billion or more in waste. Okay, first of all, $7 trillion budget. You might as well be saying in the hundreds of tens of hundreds of dollars compared to the overall budget. Secondly, then say it. I don't look, the waste part, let me hear it. Cutting waste doesn't take services from fucking anybody. Nobody cares if you're, it seems like you just think certain things are waste because you don't like what they're for. That said, fraud, again, fraud is a crime, as we know, because Donald Trump has been found guilty of it, and most normal people go to jail for it.
Casually. For example, like the simple survey that was literally 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost you about $10,000, the government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
For just the survey?
$1 billion for a simple online survey, do you like the national park? And then there appeared to be no feedback loop for what would be done with that survey. So the survey would just go into nothing. It was like insane.
Yeah, it sounds crazy. Well, you know what? We'll just take your word for it. And then we'll find out later you shut down the entire survey system for the national parks, period. Then a big portion of that has to do not just with whether people like, do you like this park? Check this box. But also, did you find it accessible for people with disabilities? Is it safe? Did you, there was a big part of the survey. We didn't really think much of it about how many mountain lions you saw. And whether or not you thought you could outrun them in a stroller.
You technically are a special government employee. And
oh, very special. So special. The specialist. Such a special man. Oh, what a special man he was.
You're supposed to be 130 days. Are you...
Get the fuck out.
Going to continue past that, or do you think that's what you're going to do? Or
well, I don't know. How do you stop doing what you're doing when it's helping your stock price so much?
Well, I think we will have accomplished most of the work required to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion within that time frame.
No. It's not going to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion in 130 days without an act of Congress or a new budget. It ain't happening.
So in that time frame, 130
yes.
days, and the
wow, that's crazy. So how are you going to do that? Well, collapse the economy, and hopefully some of the countries we owe money to will just implode, and we'll just pretend we never borrowed money.
Process is a report at some point at 100 days. Or?
Not really a report. We are cutting the waste.
Yeah.
And fraud in real time. So every day that passes, our goal is to reduce the waste and fraud by $4 billion a day, every day, 7 days a week. And so far, we are succeeding.
And I'm going to talk to the specifics, but there obviously are DOGE critics who are reading all kinds.
What? Get the hump out of here. What the fuck are you talking about? The DOGE critics. How dare you, sir? DOGE critics. I'm not a critic. I have real problems with these assholes. DOGE critics.
Shut up and never say anything again as long as you live.
I'm going to open the DOGE page just so when they reference it, which they probably will, Doge.gov. Oh, they're killing it. $140 billion, $869 per taxpayer over an undisclosed period of time, we think. There they go. Cutting. Nothing says waste and fraud like Office of Refugee Resettlement. Office of Refugee Resettlement Influx Care Facility for up to 3,000 unaccompanied alien children. The contract provided facilities and full wraparound child care and case management service for unaccompanied minor children. $3.3 billion contract. They saved $2.9 billion. So what are we going to do? Just, how's this work? You're just going to chuck whatever kids that were there onto the street? You're just throwing them over the fence? What's happening? And it's just a screenshot not yet available. FPDS has an updated log. So let's check out FPDS, sorry. Department offices, IBC, Executive System Director of Administration for Children Services in San Antonio, Texas. So everybody that lost their job, lost their in support, professional, and other facility support services. Yeah, so basically a bunch of Texans just lost their job caring for migrant children because fuck those kids, right? I guess. And the savings, we're just going to have to trust them on that as well. I guess because it ended, so there. Treasury, the Enterprise Program, Project Integration Services. They just canceled the contract for that, which we assume saves money instead of the contract was going to save the government money. What did it do? Contracting office. It was IT for the Internal Revenue Service. Oh, yeah, we don't need that anymore because the DOGE guys are in there. They'll handle it, the internal technical works of the IRS for free. Just hook it up to Grok. This is good. USAID, unavailable. $682 million contract. They saved $283. Unavailable for legal reasons. Okay. Sure. Dude, well, I don't know why you guys don't trust these guys. Look. See this? The National Interest Action data element on the FPDS application has been disabled as of January 27th. Smart Pay Records, the Atom Feed version of this, new Atom, the aforementioned FPDS Atom Feeds will be updated, including the names and relevant transactions. Transition from unique identity DUNS to unique identity ID SAM. Begin using unique identity. For legal reasons, they don't actually know. This goes straight to the federal procurement data system, which I will be saving the link for. Just killing it, guys. Unavailable, unavailable, unavailable for legal reasons, unavailable for legal reasons, unavailable for legal. Look, what more could you want? Okay, the most transparent in history ever of ever.
Of stuff. Obviously, lawmakers on the other side of the aisle are attacking you, and they characterize the approach.
No, they're not attacking you. They're calling out your bullshit.
Approach is this: fire, ready, and then aim. And how do you approach that? How do you respond to that?
Well, I do agree that we actually want to be careful in the cuts. So we want to measure.
When are you going to start?
Twice, if not thrice, and cut once. Actually, that is our approach.
And again, trust me, bro. That's the evidence. Citation needed. Hashtag citation needed.
They may characterize it as shooting from the hip, but it is anything but that.
It is precisely that. And again, I would argue that you can shoot from the hip and fire generally into a crowd, or you can shoot from the hip and think you're going to hit somebody and kill other people. And you can also shoot from the hip with wanton disregard for human life, which is more what this is, just for the record. There is no evidence that they are going through stuff with a fine-tooth comb at all. It is all slash and burn.
Which is not to say that we don't make mistakes. If we were to approach this with the standard of making no mistakes at all, that would be like saying someone in baseball's got to bat 1,000. That's
yeah. First of all, Medicaid is not baseball. And if a millionaire player for the fucking 49ers strikes out, I suppose people who are betting might be impacted on it, but it's not going to affect the health care of elderly people in the city.
impossible. So when we do make mistakes,
Also, this is the perfection defense, the perfection fallback. Nobody's perfect. Like, asshole, we're not asking you to be perfect. We're asking you to be at least baseline professional and act like the service actually means something to you. That's not what this is at all. This is money first, human lives second, period.
we correct them quickly, and we move on.
Some people say this shouldn't take a rocket scientist. Steve Davis, you are a rocket scientist.
Used to be.
Yeah, I know. And now essentially you're the chief operating officer of DOGE, day-to-day operations. Fair to say?
Yeah, part of the DOGE team.
So how did...
Yeah, totally good. And I don't really have that kind of, hey, ladies, what are you doing later? Sniff this rag kind of a look.
you end up here? What's the biggest challenge you see?
The reason I'm here, which is probably for many, is that I think the goal is incredibly inspiring. I think most of the taxpayers in the country would agree that in order to have the country going bankrupt would be a very bad thing, and therefore the country going not bankrupt is a good thing.
Yes, not bankrupt is the goal, I think.
That all of us are willing to kind of put our lives on hold in order to do. I think the thing that's special right now is we actually believe there's a chance to succeed, that there's an administration that supports.
Because it was never actually a threat in the first fucking place, and that our debt to GDP ratio isn't anywhere near, say, China's, and you guys aren't sweating it over how their government is doing at all. You think their system is actually superior to ours. They got 300% debt to GDP. 300%. And they allegedly only lost 60,000 people to COVID.
And a great cabinet and just a great group that will actually make success a possible outcome. And I think that's, given the inspiring mission and given the non-zero chance of success, it was worth doing.
By the way, the glancing around and sort of inability to make eye contact thing makes me feel a lot better about this. You know what? I was on the fence about that guy, but now I really feel secure about you know, how trustworthy what he's saying is, and how confident he is that it's all going to work out a lot better than maybe you thought. Is there a restroom nearby?
I'd like to sort of reemphasize that point. The success of DOGE is only possible with President Trump and with the outstanding cabinet that he selected.
I see. So there is a prerequisite ass kissing that goes on, and Musk isn't immune to
It would
it.
be impossible without the support of the president and the cabinet.
Yeah, if they did give you the keys, you'd never be able to get into the bank after closing.
But you're finding the money. I mean, it's big numbers, right?
Yeah.
No.
Like Elon said, the minimum impulse bid is often $1 billion. So, for example, the $830 million, which was the online survey.
No. Hey, motherfucker, if you're finding $1 billion minimum a day, right? If that's on the regular, I don't want to hear the same case twice. Why the fuck do you keep bringing up one example if they're all over the fucking place? If you stumble on fraud and waste and abuse, you shouldn't even have to. And at the end, you should be able to wrap up with this kind of like gish gallop of all the things you fucking mentioned.
That's an enormous amount of money that wouldn't have been found if the DOGE team wasn't working with it, in that case, the Department of Interior. But then taking it one step further, DOGE then publishes these things on our website for.
Okay. All right, here we go. Department of the Interior. It's got to be in here somewhere. Yep. The Department of Interior, okay, contracts. Let's go in here, and there's a searchable. You're able to click on and go to searchable. This you can click on these, and it gives you the and there's a. If you click here, it goes to the. All right, that opens the thing. But if you want to, like at the Department of Interior, you can just scroll down. Oh, you can scroll down to this, and if you're here, those are leases. Let's maybe go to Department of Interior. Go straight there. You can click on, you click right on. You can do this. I'm sorry guys. I don't know why it's acting up. I don't know what it is. You click on Department of Interior. It shouldn't select the. How about if I click the 10? This is the most savings. What are the least savings? Commerce, Justice, NASA. Gee, I wonder why they're low on the thing. Because that's where it's from. Okay, most savings. Department of Interior. Show all agencies. Well, if they show, obviously, I'm sorry, that was my fault. If you click on show all agencies, then obviously, then the links work. Where you can click on. Okay, no. So it's just a list of agencies, and it just trust me, bro. Yeah, fucking magic. How about let's go to the okay, go by savings. That's the bottom and the top. To the top department. Family endeavors, that's the Department of Treasury. Is this the oh, that's way more than $1 billion. So let's say, how about page 2? Huh? USAID unavailable for legal reasons. Look, some transparency can be a bit murky. You know, you're sometimes you get, you have to surface and spit in your mask and wipe it clear because it gets a little foggy, but it's still transparent, technically. Veterans Affairs, L'Enfant LLC, VBA, OBI, Military Recovery Zone, VHA, Integrated Health Systems, some of the Ranger Land Systems, processing for Homeland Security. Yeah, okay, anything that had U.S. Had. These are the big ones. This should be okay. Wasn't it almost $1 billion? So it should be up near the top, right? Oh, I don't even know why I was bothering to do that. Page 1, here's 2.9 billion, 1.9 billion, 367 million. Where's the fucking maybe it's a grant. Maybe that's what it was. Let's see. Health and Human Services. There's savings, total value. Okay, that's the savings. Okay. 800 Texas. Sorry, Department of Health and Human Services, Texas Department of State Health Services, currently unavailable. They say, okay, fuck you, Texas. Grant to the Texas Department of State Health Services. 1.5 billion. They saved 877,000. I guess, fuck you, Texas. You didn't need that money in the first place. I'm sure your citizens will get along fine. Now, I don't see, does anybody else see? That's the only one I see that's up near the 877 mark. 31 million, 18 million. I don't see $1 billion on the regular at all. Do you guys? That's $1 billion, but that doesn't mean this is Office of Refugee Resettlement. So I don't know what you're fucking going to do with the children that you just got rid of. The Enterprise Program, this is Enterprise Program Project Integration Services. Let me guess, this is software, so that they've gone like, no, we got the software covered. We're going to cancel that contract and we'll do it. Yeah. So, what was this asshat saying again?
That wouldn't have been found if the DOGE team wasn't working with it, in that case, the Department of Interior. But then taking it one step further, DOGE then publishes these things on our website.
Do you, though? Did you? Okay, chat room. I tried to be like, I looked where, I mean, there's only 3 fucking places on their website to look. The agency leaderboard, which tells you nothing. The wall of receipts, which is technically, I guess, where it would be. Contracts. The Department of Interior one that they have is for refugee resettlement. There's not another one in the top 10 on the first page at all. There's nothing on the second page. The next time Department of Interior shows up, yeah, what a bunch of shit. Okay, then grants. Nope. Health and Human Services is the one getting most of the grants, and it's like Illinois State Department of Public Health. This is all grants to public health systems, and the details on it. Again, all the grants they're canceling to state departments of public health, they're just canceling them and letting the states, I guess, be on their own. Now, in the big ones, maybe they, you know what? Maybe they're only canceling states. Nope, Texas. There's Texas. Florida Department of Public Health had a $1.2 billion grant. That's a lot. I mean, it is God's waiting room, so sure. And they say 482 million and 0 lives. Illinois Family Health Attorney, Health Pennsylvania. So grants to public health systems in states, is that waste, fraud, or abuse? I mean, obviously with Texas, it's all 3, but what about the rest of them? And no, it's not on your fucking website.
Maximum transparency. So
Jesus Christ, fuck you.
now the general
Oops. Obviously, they have an issue with what I was saying. Bring this back up. Default. Okay, here we go.
said the minimum impulse bid is often $1 billion. That, taking it one step further, DOGE then publishes these things on our website for maximum transparency. So now the general public, it would have been impossible for the general public to have seen that. Now anyone can just log into doge.gov anytime and see these payments. As they're not yet in real time, they're close, but they'll probably be in real time within the next few weeks.
In the next few weeks. Motherfucker, wait. Let me run this by me again. You're going to discover and get rid of, eliminate $1 trillion. A trillion with a fucking T-R-I. You're $1 trillion. You're going to eliminate $1 trillion worth of waste, fraud, and abuse in 130 days, and you can't even get full receipts up on your website for a couple of weeks, and you're a rocket scientist and he runs a tech company? The fuck? Do you guys not know how to run Excel? Ask one of the assholes behind you.
But the process, it still involves Congress, right? At some level?
We try to keep Congress as informed as possible, but the law does say that money needs to be spent correctly. It should not be spent fraudulently or wastefully. It's not contrary to Congress to avoid waste and fraud. It is consistent with the law and consistent with Congress. And we've seen actually great support, at least from the Republican side of the House, and occasionally some Democrats too. You know, it's nice to see people cross the aisle once in a while, but
gibberish. And by the way, I don't know what you guys say. A lot of people are saying this when he stammers like this. It sounds like he's kind of trying to figure out how to bullshit his way out of something, but I don't think so. I think it makes it more, impressive. I think I feel more secure about what he's saying.
Usually when they attack DOGE, they never attack any of the specifics.
All I do is attack specifics. Fuckwad. Jesus Christ. Yes, they do. This is the lamest. This and the appeal to perfection. This is flat out a lie. There are plenty of Congress people, plenty of people in the media, and me who have specifically pointed out that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You have a slapdash way of choosing what gets cut. You are calling shit waste when you just don't like it. You have zero evidence of fraud anywhere so far. Zero. None. Zip. And yet you keep using that word like it's part of the normal discovery process that you're doing every day. You have found no fucking fraud. None. Trump hasn't found any fraud. You haven't shown him any fraud. Nobody in your fucking office has gone, oh my God, for fraud. This is fucking embarrassing. No. You do not get to say nobody is attacking specifics. I am attacking your fucking dipshit website specifically. I'm attacking individual elements of this and the lack of clarity on all of this horse shit. And the fact that your like dipshit rocket scientist dude next to you just lied his ass off by saying this contract is on the website and it's clear and it's as transparent as mud. Where is it? Where is it? It's about emotionality.
So they'll say what we're doing is somehow unconstitutional or
Yeah.
illegal or whatever. We're like, well, which
Or whatever. Yeah.
line of the cost savings do you disagree with?
How about all the killings of all the grants to the state health departments just a few years after we had a giant pandemic and fucking bird flu? How about that? How about the myriad of diseases we don't have cures for yet that affect a lot of people who are poor, and therefore they interact with all the rest of us because, unlike you, we don't live in a fucking caste system in a goddamn bubble, and therefore the chances of disease passing between people in normal life raises that it lowers productivity. That's something you can understand. It costs us more in the end when people have damaged immune systems over the course of their lives. So yes, I don't agree with you willy-nilly cutting all the grants to public health systems seemingly in every fucking state just from the jump. I call bullshit. So fuck that. How about that? Very specific. We won't even get started on USAID, which you just wiped out the whole thing in theory, and they bumped it over to the State Department because they knew that they've still got to do these things, so they're going to lie and pretend that they got rid of it. But you didn't go through like a fucking digital surgeon and take out stuff that was untoward or fucking transgender comic books in Guatemala or whatever that cost $23,000. Not $40 billion worth of transgender comics in that list. You got rid of all of it, fuckwad. In that case, you don't have to be specific. It's your slapdash broad cuts that make no fucking sense.
And they can't point to any.
How about the Ebola funding that you had to reinstate because someone pointed it out to you? How do you find out that something was accidentally, that you don't bat 1,000? Because people pointed out to you specifically.
And we list them all on doge.gov.
No, you don't.
And the Doge handle on X. And you'll see just outrageous things. One.
Yeah, I'm not going to your private fucking social media site to figure out what's happening in my fucking public government, you tit.
Outrageous thing after another.
Joe Gabbia, besides Elon, you're one of several billionaires here, co-founder of Airbnb, and you wanted to help out.
Doing a great job so far.
I bumped into Anthony and Elon probably back in February, and they told me something about a mine that was dealt with retirement, and they said they needed somebody to help out to fix retirement in the government. I love the challenge, so I jumped on board, and it turns out there is actually a mine in Pennsylvania that houses every paper document for the retirement process in the government. Now picture this. This giant cave has 22,000 filing cabinets, stacked 10 high to house 400 million pieces of paper. It's a process that started in the 1950s and largely hasn't changed in the last 70 years. And so as he dug into it, we found retirement cases that had so much paper, they had to fit it on a shipping pallet. So,
yeah. What are the chances that's a fucking senator?
The process takes many months, and we're going to make it just many days.
Will it be digitized, or how?
Absolutely. So this will be an online digital process that will take just a few days at most. And I really think, it's an injustice to civil servants who are subjected to these processes that
They aren't. Normally, we don't retire 8,000 or more people a year from the federal government, even as many employees we have, because people, the vast majority, aren't lifelong employees, especially with the amount of contracting that's happened. They never had to raise the fucking number in Congress to 15 or like rent another salt mine to speed up the process because it wasn't necessary. There was no willy-nilly slash and burn rando cuts where you were basically saying retire or you'll never get your pension.
are older than the age of half the people watching your show tonight. So
You're on Fox. Simmer down.
we really believe that the government can have an Apple Store-like experience.
We sorry, yeah, we don't make that cable anymore. You what? Yeah, we don't make that cable anymore. But I mean I can't hook up my drive without it, and it's got all my stuff on it. Well, we can sell you a new drive, or you can upgrade to these things, but I'm sorry, that cable, they just don't. I mean, you can go on OWC, or you can go on some of these, they're like Max, maybe have you tried eBay?
Beautifully designed, great user experience, modern systems.
Because right now,
Also, what do you mean? You think people aren't retiring because of a lack of efficiency?
it's by hand.
Yes, the retirement process is all by paper, literally with people carrying paper in manila envelopes.
Also, wait. Can we just point out that the retirement process in the federal government is not the hangup financially or an undue burden on the taxpayer at all. They're just pissed they can't fire people this fast or force them into retirement at this kind of a clip. And a lot of the people, by the way, it's a good portion of people who wouldn't have retired. They would have just quit earlier, but now they're offering a retirement package. You're like, oh, shit, well, technically I don't qualify for retirement for a very long time, so I didn't even know if I was going to make it. I was probably going to move on and get another job and just go into the private sector. But since you're offering me a fucking package, I'll take it.
Into this gigantic mine.
So they can't retire more than a certain number every month.
Yes.
About 8,000 a month.
That's how
8,000 people can retire every month. Retire, not quit, not move on, not, works for 6 years and then go on, but retirees, people who've worked in federal government up until the point of retirement.
the reason we discovered it was we were saying, like, well, let's encourage voluntary retirement.
Yes, we know. And you couldn't do it fast enough because of this system.
They said, well, the most
Because it's not built for a fucking purge.
they could do is 8,000 a month, and even under normal circumstances, it can take 6 to 9 months just to have your retirement paperwork processed.
Right. Most people don't retire on a dime, dummy. That's the other thing. You know when your retirement date is. They come to you and they go, hey, you've reached retirement. Your date is January of next year. Somewhere around July, you're going to want to file for it, and then we'll have everything ready to go. So you get your watch and have your last slice of cake here at Lumen, and then.
And they often get the calculations wrong. So we're like, well, why would it take so long to retire? And they're like, well, because of the mine. And we're like, what do you mean a mine? What's a mine got to do with retiring? And that's where we discovered that all the retirement stuff is still done by paper in a process that looks identical to what occurred in the 1950s. Like if we took a snapshot of the mine when it first started in the 50s to today, it looks the same.
It's amazing. So how long do you think it'll take to turn over?
We're working as fast as we can. Probably next couple of months we'll have this overhauled.
Yes, and it will cost more than the savings that you get from people leaving early this year versus retirement from the government in the future. The efficiency of the retirement system ain't a drag.
And, you know, I really think, again, like, why are we subjecting our federal workers to processes that they actually have to go through a training just to retire from the government? There's a whole training program that people have to go through in order to retire. I think we can do better for them.
Aram Moganasi.
Yes, our first loyalty is to federal workers. You know, the people we're firing willy-nilly.
DOGE engineer. You go into these places, one of the more than a dozen engineers, first people to go into the agencies and view the computer data sets. Tell me what you're finding, and for people who don't understand how that
Oh my God, it's like boomer bullshit I have to deal with, bro.
process works, explain it for them.
Yeah. I'll say the first thing that got me really excited about DOGE was learning basically the state of government computers. By some estimates, government IT costs about $100 billion, and it's funding systems that are over 50 years old, in the case of something like Social Security or the IRS. So really critical systems are old, they cost a lot of money to maintain, and they can be, the efforts to improve them are often very delayed. So I thought
the efforts to improve them are often very delayed. So there are methods, there are efforts to improve them. And what's the delay then? Never mind, just say that and move on.
Software engineer that maybe can make a difference here, and that's really what inspired me at a high level.
Yeah, that you can maybe make a difference by, I don't know, getting into the IRS and the Social Security mainframes and poking around. As someone who has not sworn an oath to protect the country and the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, just kind of like I don't know, what's your salary? I think is the next question. What are you working for? Because if you're not getting paid, you're obviously expecting some kind of compensation on the tail end.
There's a lot of mystery about Social Security and a lot of words about it from, here's what Democrats have been saying about it.
It's absurd that Elon Musk is trying to eliminate billions of dollars from Social Security.
Elon Musk and President Trump have set their sights on cutting Social Security.
Their goal is clear: destroy Social Security from within.
You're in the building. I mean, you're in the computers. What's happening there? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, just tell us. I trust you.
It doesn't line up with my experience on the ground. And I'll say the two improvements that we're trying to make to Social Security are helping people that legitimately get benefits, protect them from fraud that they experience every day on a routine basis, and also make the experience,
which would require more spending, okay, on a system that would be in place to answer and protect against the fraud, right?
better.
Okay.
And I'll give you one example is
Great.
At Social Security, one of the first things we learned is that they get phone calls every day of people trying to change direct deposit information. So when you want to change your bank account, you can call Social Security. We learned 40% of the phone calls that they get are from fraudsters.
40%.
That's right. Almost half.
Yes, and they steal people's Social Security is what happens. Is they call in, they say, they claim to be a retiree, then they convince the Social Security person on the phone to change where the money's flowing. It actually goes to some fraudster. This is happening all day, every day. And
all day, every day, 40%. By now, shit, if 40% of the calls, how many calls they get a day, 100,000 or something. So in the end, I guess as of 3 months ago, no one is getting their Social Security, and all of it is going to the same 9 fraudsters.
And then somebody doesn't receive their Social Security. It's because of all the fraud loopholes in the Social Security system.
How do you reassure?
There was an edit there. What was that?
Of all the fraud loopholes in the Social Security system.
How do you reassure people?
Did you hear that?
That what you all are doing is not going to affect their benefits.
No, in fact, what we're doing will help their benefits.
Yeah. Your Honor, look, I was, I heard a noise inside the house. I know nobody was home now, but I heard a noise and I went in through the window and I was worried that someone might be trapped under all the jewelry in the house. So I gathered it in a bag for, my safety and the safety of others. And I was removing it from the premise when they showed up, and I tried to explain, I was like, I'm doing this for your benefit.
Legitimate people, as a result of the work of DOGE, will receive more Social Security, not less.
No. The amount you get is set by the money put in and the cost of living increase. You're not going to increase benefits. You're not going to continue to pay out if there's other than the idea that you're undoing fraud, which is already, there's a system in place for doing that anyway.
Emphasize that. As a result of the work of DOGE, legitimate recipients of Social Security will receive more money, not less money.
That's bullshit. I mean, the only way he's saying that is that if somebody was defrauded of their Social Security and we discover it and we turn it around, which happens all the time anyways, then those people will get more money than zero, which is what they were getting when their shit was being stolen.
All right.
I want to emphasize that point and let the record show that I said this, and it will be proven out to be true.
Yeah. No, it won't.
Let's check back on this in the future.
Yeah, let's check back on this in the future after I'm long gone. Look, understand, this bank is going to have, mark my word, more money in it after I leave with this bag of money than it did before I showed up, because FDIC will insure it and they'll backfill it, and then you'll never even miss it.
Washington Post, the Social Security Administration website crashed 4 times in 10 days this month because the servers were overloaded, blocking millions of retirees and disabled veterans from logging into their online accounts. Freaked people out. Is that going to change?
It did change, Brett. It changed from working to not working. This is the change. The website crashing is the change.
Yes, we're going to make sure that the website stays online.
Yeah.
Like it was before you started fucking around.
I mean, but is it a result of going in there
No.
or something you're doing?
No. The amount of issues that were the Social Security system are enormous. As an example, there are over 15 million people that are over the age of 120.
Are they getting checks?
That are marked as alive.
Are they getting checks?
In the Social Security system.
And that's
Are they getting checks?
an accurate figure.
Yes.
Correct.
15.
Yep, because there's no death certificate, so they have to leave them in case at some point they turn up alive at 122 because they've discovered the fucking fountain of youth, or their heirs that would be, would get their SSI money have some case left. They haven't been erased from the fucking system because there's no way of putting them in there without declaring them officially dead. It's pesky Americans who tend to die all across the globe over the years. And secondarily, are they getting checks?
Correct. This has been something that's been identified as a problem. Again,
yes, for years before you ever showed up.
Pre-existing problems since 2000.
Yes, it's a pre-existing problem. And again, it's such a pre-existing problem that it hasn't been a problem. Checks are not going out.
2008, at least, from an IG report. So
IGs. So it's good to have IGs because they're the ones who make the reports that let you know something's wrong in the first place. So maybe firing the IGs is bad. Jesus Christ, these guys have no fucking... do they have reflections in mirrors?
There were some great people working at the Social Security Administration that found this, 2008, and nothing was done. And so 15 to 20 million Social Security numbers that were clearly fraudulent were floating around that can be used only for bad intentions. There'd be no way to use those for good intentions. And so,
or not used at all.
One of the things the DOGE team is doing is carefully and very methodically.
Sorry, real quick. So if I show up at a job interview and I put down my Social Security number and it comes back as I'm 122 years old, I'm in the database as 122 years old. Dear God, people will know I am a vampire.
Looking at those and making sure that any fraudulent ones are eliminated.
Brad Smith.
Is any money going out the door? Yeah, I mean, it's a great little fucking efficiency project. Has zero impact on the fucking money. Zero.
Working at HHS, and obviously another element is Medicare and Medicaid, NIH. What are you finding?
Yeah. Well, I'd say there's a couple of things we're really committed to in our work at HHS. Number one, making sure we continue to have the best biomedical research in the world. And
Yes, and the way you do that is you cut all the grants to medical universities that are studying vaccines or diseases, especially the unprofitable ones, the ones that diseases not enough people have where you can make money on the pill.
number two, making sure, which President Trump has said over and over again, that we 100% protect Medicare and Medicaid. But
from itself, obviously.
there's a lot of opportunity. So if I take NIH as an example, today, if you're an NIH researcher and you get a $100 grant at your university, today you get to spend 60 of that and your university spends 40 of that. The policy that we're proposing to make is that you get to spend 85 of that and your university spends 15. So that's more money going directly to the scientists who are discovering new cures. Another example.
First of all, asshole, resilient lab tech is the reason why it's 60-40. They've to build the fucking facilities. It doesn't matter how much money you have coming in as an individual scientist if the lab that you have to use is undercut as far as the money. And what'll happen is because it's not going to the school to for the permanent lab structure there, which is again 40% of the grant a lot of times, and why it actually the argument they have for getting the grant in the first place is you'll go, well, we shouldn't have that grant out. He can't do that kind of thing. She can't do that kind of thing. The lab she's working in wouldn't even be able to cover this. They don't even have the equipment.
At NIH is today they have 27 different centers. They got created over time by Congress, and they're typically by disease state or body.
Created by Congress. Interesting. Tell me more.
System. There's 700 different IT systems today at NIH.
700 different IT systems.
IT software systems.
They
can't speak to each other.
So they don't talk to one another.
They have 27 different CIOs. And so when you think about making great medical discoveries, you have to connect the data.
Time out. You said 27 different chief information officers?
Correct.
And most of them are non-technical.
So there's a lot there.
There's a lot of opportunity. It will make science better, not worse.
And when I say that our job is tech support, I really mean it.
Yeah.
We have to fix the computers. If the computers can't talk to each other, you can't get research done. If the computers can't...
The computers can talk to each other. The computers can talk to each other, especially amongst the disciplines. This might come as a fucking shock to you, but the computer system that they use for nuclear testing and for fusion and for physics is a different system than they use for bioweapon preparations and fucking swine flu or genetic diseases that they're trying to find cures for, or orphan diseases that that have a very low impact on the overall populace, but are very extraordinarily damaging to the people that get them. And so they don't need to talk to each other outside of those things, but they do have to be singularly integrated amongst each other. There's no reason why you would want all the National Institute of Health groups to be connected just because they're studying radiation and its impact on rats and the geneticists and the person on the common cold beat. And also they have to publish their shit publicly in peer-reviewed journals anyways.
Stay online, people won't receive their Social Security. So what we have here are a bunch of failing computer systems that are preventing people from receiving their benefits.
No, they aren't. No, they are not. The phone interaction system where people can call to get their benefits information updated is the only issue. The lack of caseworkers, for example, here's what you do. If you have somebody calling and going, hey, I need to shift my direct deposit. Cool, no problem. Tell me your address right now where you currently get the checks or where you're going to, and we'll send a caseworker out to you. They will meet you in person. If you can afford to come into one of the offices, we'll take care of it much quicker. But if you could, but if you can wait a couple of days, we'll send a person out to you. That's more staff, not less. That's more expense, not less. And that's more efficient.
Preventing research from happening that are extremely vulnerable to fraud And we're fixing it.
And does that include AI? Does that include kind of changing the system overall? That's, I guess, what people are afraid of, is they don't.
They're going to set Grok loose and train it on government data. Too late.
Know what this is all looking like, and is it going to affect me in the long term?
It's going to affect them. It's going to affect people very positively. So the changes that we're doing here will ensure the solvency of the American government, of the United States of America. This is what we're trying to do, is ensure that people do receive.
Yeah, and look, I know some of you are like, but wait, why should we trust this guy? He bought Twitter for $44 billion and then sold it to one of his own companies for $33 billion using just stock and no cash on from a company that's evaluated at being worth $80 billion but has no material worth at all, and a cost structure that's higher than its output, but has a great trust me, bro, future arc financially. So why should we listen to him? It's an excellent question. Actually, way to nail it.
Their benefits in the future, and you can only receive your benefits if the country is operating in a healthy and competent way.
Up next, how the DOGE team plans to streamline some federal jobs and agencies, and later.
Okay, I'm gonna go back here. Money sloshing out the door. You ask, Musk obfuscates.
Anthony Armstrong, DOGE, Office of Personnel Management.
Oh, by the way, hey, remember when they said they got rid of that White House set that Biden was using? Remember that whole kerfuffle about how dare they?
Anthony Armstrong.
That would be it. They just, I guess, changed some of the look of the place to a more Tucker Carlson friendly look.
I like wood, deeper and longer.
So,
DOGE, Office of Personnel Management, Morgan Stanley banker, M&A guy. Yeah. You know, money, and this is a lot of money sloshing around.
There's a lot of money.
Also, we know that we notice you're smart enough to remove most, if not all, of your body hair, so you leave less DNA behind at the scene.
Money sloshing around. There's a lot of money sloshing out the door. And if you look at the federal government and the way the workforce works, it's really a one-way ratchet over decades. So
it's only going up.
It's only going up. You never take it away. So that leaves you with.
Yeah, it's that way with the size of the economy as well, and the population. It's funny. The government has grown in congruence with the economy and the population for a long time. That's weird. It would have a service-based government that oversees the rights and privileges of every citizen. And as there are more citizens, this government increases in size. And as it manages more money and is the biggest economy in the world, also got bigger, almost tripling in the first 15 years of the 2000s.
Duplicative functions, it leaves you with overstaffing, and it leaves you with functions in the wrong places. So a couple of examples. Duplicative functions. Brad mentioned 27 CIOs. If you kept going with Brad, he would talk about the communications office. I think you've got 40 distinct communications offices.
Yeah. What? I'm sorry. Are they supposed to all uniform and say the same fucking thing? So they're communicating with different types of medicine, contagious disease, oncology, genetic diseases, those kind of things. They're all talking, and they're specific to the discipline, and then they're bifurcated out into levels of research. The stuff we know how to cure and we have to manage, like the flu, stuff we're hoping to cure in the near term and we're very close on, and pie in the sky stuff that everybody's shooting for. It stacks up. You mean less than one per state?
HHS, right? Yeah.
40?
Yeah, and that's not unusual, by the way.
You're right. It's not. But isn't there a communications person for almost like every outlet mall in the country?
Multiple offices like that.
It's not making anyone healthy.
This is not about the employees there. There's many hardworking, well-meaning people who took these jobs. These jobs were out there. They applied for them. They took them. They're doing what's there. It's just that they're duplicating the effort of 40 offices. So you've got that. You've got overstaffing. A good example of overstaffing would be the IRS has got 1,400 people who are dedicated to provisioning laptops and cell phones. So if you join the IRS, you get a laptop and a cell phone, you're provisioned. So if each of those IRS officers or employees provisioned 2 employees per day, you could provision the entire IRS in a little more than a month. So 12 times a year, you can re-provision.
Why would you have 1,400 people whose only job it is to give out a laptop and a phone?
Right.
It isn't. My guess is they end up being IT strategically for an entire area. And there are IRS offices, not just in DC, but all across the country. And they can't be hackable because it's people's entire financial history. And perhaps in many ways, the future.
The whole IRS could be handled once a month. So that doesn't make any sense. And President Trump's been very clear. It's scalpel,
not if you don't care about security, I guess.
Hatchet, and that's the way it's getting done.
No, it's not. Yeah, just because there's a lot of them, you have not explained to me why. Your theory that once the job is done, the job is done, is not enough. Because you're asking me to trust you. That's the only thing that person does.
And then once those decisions are made, there's a very heavy focus on being generous, being caring, being compassionate, and
bullshit. You guys were barging in with armed guards. Get the fuck out of here. PR, propaganda.
Treating everyone with dignity and respect. And if you look at how people have started to leave the government, it is largely through voluntary.
Because they're voluntarily leaving the government because they were treated too well.
It means there's voluntary early retirement, there's voluntary separation payments.
Yes, people are quitting rather than be around you fuckwads because they just can't. You're killing them with kindness.
We put in place deferred resignation, the 8-month severance program. So there's a very heavy bias towards programs that are long dated, that are generous, that allow people to exit and go and get a new job in the private sector. And you've heard a lot of news about rifts, about people getting fired. At this moment in time, less than 0.15, not 1.5, less than 0.15 of the federal workforce has actually been given a RIF notice. So
they've selected if they're leaving.
It is.
Oh my God. That's because your main focus has been on contract work. Because this is areas, and by the way, it's why it's hitting red states so hard. It's because you're hitting all the outsourcers. You're hitting all the NGOs first.
Almost no one's gotten fired. That's what we're saying.
Tom Krause.
That's because you can't fire them. It's not for a lack of trying. You had to rehire a bunch of people.
Working at Treasury, you are having access to the...
This is a picture of the building. Rather than us having to look at these assholes' faces, they slipped this in to give us all a break.
Payment system oversees all the outgoing payments. Essentially, those payments were going places we didn't know where they were going, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case, Brett. As an ex-CFO of a big public tech company.
Why are you the ex-CFO? What were the grounds for your dismissal? Just curious.
Really, what we're doing is we're applying public company standards to the federal government.
Right, except you can't fire the poor. Citizens are not your employees. And the services are not optional. There is not another sugary drink to choose from or another dopamine, I don't know, attacking, I don't know if it's attacking, dopamine surging social media site.
And it is alarming how the financial operations and financial management is set up today. There is actually really only one bank account that's used to disperse all monies that go out of the federal government.
Time out.
Right. There's only your complaint a minute ago was that there's too many of one thing. Now there's too few.
One bank account.
It's a big one.
It's a big one.
It's a big one.
It's a big one.
Well, the Treasury's not a bank account. Fuck off.
A couple weeks ago, it had $800 billion in it, but it's the Treasury general account. So when you hear some of my colleagues here, what they're talking about in terms of the fraud, you have to ask, well, why is this allowed to happen at a financial level? Well, it's actually quite simple but alarming.
No, what's alarming is you guys keep saying fraud, and you can't name one fucking person going to jail.
The Treasury, up until now, and thanks to President Trump, we're fixing this. In fact, there was an executive order that he just signed the other day, which is protecting America's bank account, because it really is the taxpayers' money. One, we're changing the culture. The culture is been not a lot of caring and not a lot of commitment to doing what.
That's right. We're going to push caring. Guys, we're pushing caring. You got to understand, we're caring. They didn't care before. Democrats are not caring people. They're just brutalists. They just throw money at you, and you get all these paper cuts all over your face, and you feel all degraded as you crawl around, your thong shifted to one side, one heel hanging off as you crawl around picking up the ones. We're not like that. We care. We give you a sugar daddy account and a debit card.
That's right, relative to.
Right, Matt Gaetz?
Financial operations. There's a $500 billion of fraud every year. There's hundreds of $billions of improper payments, and we can't pass an audit. The consolidated
improper
financial report is produced by Treasury, and we cannot pass it on. We have material weaknesses. What that means is that if I was a public company CFO, I would effectively be removed. I couldn't.
I got news for you. Not if you were a defense contractor. Sorry, there are defense contractors, asshole, that none of them can pass that kind of an audit. Because it's defense, there's a big trust me bro part of it. Because it's secret. And they can't tell how much something costs, because you can tell by how much something costs and what kind of system it is, whether it's an advance, it's a duplicate, or it's production.
Financial statements, I couldn't issue securities, which of course we depend on. Can't pass an audit.
Right. The
U.S. doesn't. Okay.
Cannot pass an audit. It's impossible. In fact, in order to pass an audit, you need the information necessary to pass an audit. You need to have the payment codes, you need to have the payment explanation, and you need to have a person you can contact to understand why that payment was made. None of those things were mandatory until just recently, just a few weeks ago. In fact, maybe last week?
Yeah, we're serving 580 plus agencies. And up until very recently, effectively they could say make the payment, and Treasury just sent it out as fast as possible. No verification. And so what we're doing is what
we're doing is adding a layer of bureaucracy to a system that we're assuming is full of fraud without any evidence that it's full of fraud, while saying that it's full of fraud, and making them giving them a checklist. Congratulations, nerds. Your whole gig is walking up and going, you guys need to file a form 6735 procurement list. You know what you are? You're like fucking BTK in Mindhunter, insisting that you can't give a roll of electrical tape until you get the cardboard roll in the center of it back from the old one.
Any household would do.
Hashtag Doge is a heist.
Imagine you're a household, you have a bank account, everyone has an ATM card.
And you're responsible for everyone in the neighborhood. And if you don't put money in a particular savings account, like a quarter of the people on the block will die within 10 years. You know, like a regular kitchen table.
Connect to that account. Everyone has a checkbook connected to that account. It's not just your children. It's not just your parents. It's your in-laws. It's your extended family. And they all can go to the account and disperse funds. No questions asked. No justification. No verification.
Well, yeah, you do. There's a Department of Grandma in this silly little equation. There would be the Department of Son, the Department of Dog. There would be Department of Mother-in-Law. There would be Department of Uncle who won't get off the couch and go find his own goddamn house, right? And each of them would have a budget within the means of that, and they're allowed to draw up to the point of that budgetary limit. They can't go over without requesting it from Congress, which I guess would be the entire family sitting around a table eating turkey legs and screaming at each other.
Up next, the DOGE team targets government contracts, and we'll show you what they're finding.
All right, they're going to show us what they're finding, guys. Finally, bro.
You're a former oil company CEO.
These guys sound great, by the way. Can we just like a lot of fired CFOs and oil? We got oil, aerospace, defense contractor, rando tech billionaire who wants efficiency over safety, and all headed up by Elon Musk.
You're reviewing contracts before they're approved for funding. What are you finding?
Well, Elon and Steve kind of stole my thunder a little bit, but I actually found that customer service survey contract. I actually have an example of one right here. I could have done this in high school. And
Is that right?
I found it.
Is that bad?
I found it on the weekends because under the Biden administration, there was no departmental oversight within the Department of Interior whatsoever. None. We are now reviewing every single contract, every single grant.
Also, real quick, who believes that they were paid almost $1 billion just to make the survey, design a survey, as opposed to do the actual surveying as the Department of Interior of all the national parks in the country? What do you think the chances are that that survey he's holding up is not the entirety of the work that was done, but the getting the response to the survey and factoring it in and giving it as part of their report for the Department of Interior? And the reason there's no way to forward is because nobody needs to figure out how to do it. They just want access to it on their site so that when it comes for time for appropriations or state to state, if they need to know what grants need to go out to states that have a lot more national parks than others, for example, that they know where that needs to go because of customer feedback, citizen feedback, tourist feedback, etc.
And when things come to my attention that don't make sense, I'm bringing them to Secretary Burgum, and he's been fantastic. He's a businessman. He's very supportive of DOGE. It's been wonderful to work with him.
And so, sorry, real quick, $1 billion a day, easy, right? $1 billion a day. That's the argument. We're tripping over waste, fraud, and abuse. And this is the third fucking time they've mentioned that goddamn survey for the Department of Interior. Shouldn't we be awash in these fucking things where you would never have to repeat anything? And yet, that's move the fuck on. Because first of all, you have not proven it is waste, fraud, or abuse. It seems largely that you just don't think it's necessary that they're even surveying people to see what's going on in the parks, what can make them better, what can make them safer, what your experience was like. They don't want to operate like by the way, if you want an Apple store like experience like this, like the Airbnb prick is talking about, let me be abundantly clear. That involves a lot of tell us how we're doing, fill out a survey, and we'll give you a coupon for something, right? Surveying and checking in with your customer is a huge part, especially of modern corporate structure. So the idea that like, oh my God, $1 billion on a survey, what are they doing? For all the national parks in the country under the Department of Interior, compared to the $7 trillion budget of the entire government, seems like chump change. Seems like a high fixation rate that they're having on this one particular thing, and they seem to be doing it like, again, all three of these assholes have mentioned it like it's the primary thing they found, and it's not even on their fucking list. It's not even on the website.
Battle between government of decades and decades of buildup and business, which you guys are. Is that like a train hitting each other? I mean,
yeah, it's exactly what it is, Brett. When will the government finally listen to Enron? When will Exxon be able to give some notes to the Navy on how you pilot ships? Oh, fuck, right.
Seems like it's pretty disruptive.
Well, this is a revolution, and I think it might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution.
Oh, fuck off.
But at the end of the day, America is going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work.
Yeah. Shut up. You guys, I mean, we put it on the website. Things are going to be better when we're done. Just go back to sleep.
And it's going to be a fantastic future.
I mean, it sounds like the Grinch when he's explaining why he's taking the Christmas tree to be repaired.
But are we going to get a lot of complaints along the way? Absolutely. You know, one of the things I learned at PayPal was you know who complains the loudest and with the most amount of fake righteous indignation? The fraudsters. It's a tell. There's some of these NGOs that are crazy, like the $2 billion to Stacey Abrams' NGO that basically didn't exist and suddenly gets $2 billion awarded from the federal government. She has, why? And there are many.
Well, also, where was the was she out on the fucking street rattling cages? If that's your point, and there was an edit there, I think. If that's your point, that like Stacey Abrams is indicative, and again, this is one they brought up multiple times. Again, if there was as much fraud as they're saying there is, or waste or abuse as they're saying there is, they wouldn't have to repeat anything. But they seem to be hanging on a couple of things. One is this printout would have taken me 2 minutes, and not the entire system involved in designing it so that it actually gets you the answers that tell you the truth, the stuff that goes into making a survey, and then, of course, gathering all the information so that it's available anytime somebody needs to use it in the Department of Interior for budgeting and for allocation of resources, because this is real adult shit. But they keep bringing up the Stacey Abrams thing because it's new, in the same way that, like, the recognition of climate justice is new. Of course it's new.
Such cases like that.
I think that most people...
No, there aren't many such cases as that. No, there aren't. Fuck you. You want me to be specific? Here's the specific one. You keep bringing up that one over and over again. If there were many such cases like that, you could bring up a different one. Where's the other $2 billion organization that came into existence overnight that never, had any money and then spent it all instantly or sent it out to third-tier NGOs or whatever, like all the claims you're making about Stacey Abrams, which I would also believe are apocryphal and full of shit. But on top of that, if there's a bunch of them, tell me one. And if hers is fraud, file fucking charges. Knock yourself the fuck out. Waste some more taxpayer dollars. You know what? Fuck that. If you believe it's fraud, bring a private citizen case against all the people you're finding defrauding the government, especially people who had PPP loans they didn't need that they used for their political campaigns and never paid back. Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Common sense-wise would say the fraud's got to end.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I agree. Total common sense. Fraud's got to end. Which would be what?
We're concerned about the 94-year-old mother who skips a check or somehow doesn't get what she's supposed to get.
Right. Mm-hmm. And what we're trying to say is actually that the 94-year-old grandmother is actually, as a result of DOGE's work, going to get her check. She's...
No, you cannot say that. And by the way, she's already getting her check. You will only interfere with her getting her check.
She's not going to be robbed by fraudsters like she's getting robbed today.
I'm sorry, because you'll have the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the fraud department at Social Security fully funded and give them more access to technology, which costs more money and requires more staff.
And the solvency of the federal government will ensure that she continues to receive those Social Security checks.
The old lady we're talking about will be dead by the time the country, quote unquote, goes bankrupt.
That Medicare continues to work, without which we're all doomed. The reason we're doing this is because if we don't...
Because we've never had an opportunity to have access to the private financial data of every American, and had someone in the Oval Office so fucking dough-headed that they would hand us the keys to the goddamn treasury. Stop it. Shut the fuck up. No. Stop it. Like, what's in it for us? Are you shitting me? Ask any, the mob. Ask, go interview anybody who's in jail for fraud. Bernie Madoff in that crowd. Anybody. Go, what would access to the Treasury's computers be worth to you?
Don't do it. America's going to go insolvent. We're going to go bankrupt.
gibberish.
And nobody's going to get anything.
Why are you guys all doing it? I mean, you can pipe up, but you don't have to be here.
'Cause I'm proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm free. Free.
Right? I mean, you don't have to be doing this.
Yeah, you kind of do.
We're blessed with 4 beautiful children, my wife and I. But we have a real fiscal crisis, and this is not sustainable. And what's worse, back to my children and everyone else's children, is we are burdening them with that debt, and it's only going to grow.
Steve, there's not a lot of hierarchy here. You guys are kind of all approaching it in different, silos, but.
It's silos. Yeah, there's like 44, like how many? There's like 7 guys there and 7 different communication strategies and 7 different focuses and then an exponential amount of overlap while they all eat off each other's plates.
With the same kind of goal, right? I mean, this is really Silicon Valley private sector colliding with government.
Yeah, exactly. And we're headed in a bad path, but the chance of success exists. And just the one that just is in my head right now, which is a fairly mundane one, but I think is very illustrative, is credit cards. There are in the federal government around 4.6 million credit cards for around 2.3 to 2.4 million employees. This doesn't make sense.
Right.
Yeah, it does. About half the employees have credit cards that they can use directly because they are in charge or have been given that charge to be able to pay for things, or either for everything from snacks for the fucking office to plane tickets and that kind of stuff. There's also the travel person in that office that will have one as well. And then there's the office credit card, and they separate those because because they do have a full accounting of what goes on in every department. That's one of the ways they do it. Instead of everybody using one credit card in the office, who's got the credit card this week? They have them specifically so they can check the expenditures on each individual one. If you just have one for the office, or one amongst 5 people, or whatever the fuck it is, or everybody just gets one, even including people who don't need them, and it's whatever you buy is everything you buy, and it has nothing to do with accounts. It has nothing to do with different programs. It has nothing to do with different sites, right? They have a credit card for a certain site. They have a credit card for a certain facility. They have a credit card for rental cars only, so that you can just when you get at the end of the year, you go, here's the statement. It's not like, and again, it's not like they're paying a fucking fee on each one of them. They're not American Express cards.
And so one of the things all of the teams have worked on is we've worked with the agencies and said, do you need all of these credit cards?
Great. And how'd that work out?
Are they being used? Can you tell us physically where they are?
I hope they're getting.
And if they're not, oh God. Are they being used? No. Are you sure? Yeah, here's the statement. Do you know where the physical card is? Yeah, it's in my desk. Okay, we only use it for this. Okay, cool. So that about wraps it up.
Frequent flyers.
Actually, on a different note, the rewards program the federal government has is actually not very good compared.
The rewards program the federal government has is actually not very good. I don't know. Well, you guys, is this the Department of discovering actually not very good government expenditures?
That's a whole other.
It's a negotiation.
Sure, yeah, exactly. But so far the teams have worked together and they've reduced it from 4.6 million to 4.3 million. So
we're taking it easy.
Yeah.
But clearly there should not be, more. There should not be more credit cards than there are people. Yeah.
Why? Hold on. Most people have more than one credit card, fuckwad. This is so lazy. It's just so lazy. This is, this is all based on the premise that government doesn't actually do anything until it's gone, and then it's too late.
So, middle-level employees, are they seeing a benefit to being empowered by taking out bureaucracy?
Yeah, totally. They can't stop thanking us.
Absolutely. I mean, I think what you're seeing is taking the best of Silicon Valley and the business world and bringing it into the government. We're bringing the best practices.
Really? Where are those people? Because I do not see them here.
And the best methodologies. And people are inspired, right? Especially on the retirement process, which I can speak to. They've been trying to modernize.
People have been inspired to retire. Yes, the whole thing has inspired a lot of people to quit and get the fuck away from us.
And get off of paper since early 2000s.
Dude, let it go. You're not saving any money. You aren't. There is nothing beneficial to like, oh, fuck, we can retire $15,000 a month or $20,000 a month or $50,000 a month. People can retire as quickly as possible. There's no efficiency in that. None whatsoever. People know when they're supposed to retire, and that's why they do that little class, because in a few months' time, you're going to retire, and it's the federal government, so we got to keep records different from a fucking company because nobody gives a rat's ass. If Airbnb went under, nobody would give a shit in 10 years where the records were for that company. No one.
Very unsuccessfully. Every attempt has gone over budget and been canceled because it hasn't been successful.
So there's a budget for this change, which means money will be spent, which means someone will get the contract to do this, which means you guys.
And so, you know, I showed up and I feel like I'm here because it's an interesting problem. We can use design to solve it and good engineering and really create a better experience for everybody.
We're talking about elementary financial controls that are necessary for any company to function. So,
yeah, but a company can cease to function entirely, and other than a few stakeholders, who gives a shit? Sears and Roebuck can come and go. The United States can't. It's got to keep going. Sears and Roebuck cannot declare war on fucking Target.
Like if the federal government, if a commercial company operated the way the federal government does,
it would be a charity with a Defense Department.
Then it would be immediately go bankrupt. It would be
No, it wouldn't.
The officers would be arrested. The changes we're putting in place.
Again, this is what he's saying while he's literally collapsing the stock price of his own companies.
Will enable the federal government to pass an audit. It will enable taxpayers to know where the money is going and know that their hard.
We already have a website that does that.
Their tax dollars are being spent well. The ways that the government is defrauded is that the computer systems don't talk to each other. So
okay, so the fraud is coming from inside the computers. Okay,
computer systems don't talk to each other. Then you can exploit that gap, and fraudsters exploit that gap too.
Oh yeah, like John Fleming's was name, that guy. Remember when he exploited the gap? He said mind the gap, and he exploited the gap. And he, John Fleming, because we saved $1 trillion bazillion dollars, because he was finally arrested for defrauding the taxpayers. And don't forget also Larry Flings. And Larry Flingsman was one of the worst. Obviously, he minded that gap and just shoved it in the gap, and he just now it $1 billion. Poof. Nobody knows where it went, or even if it existed in the first place. So, fraud. Check.
Take advantage. For example, there were over $300 million of Small Business Administration loans that has been given out to people under the age of 11.
Well, actually, to add to it, it's $300 million under the age of 11 and over $300 million to over the age of 120.
Definitely.
Small business loans.
Correct.
Yes. The oldest American is 114. So it's safe to say if their age is 115 or above, they're fake.
So you have the loan documents, the names and ages of the people involved. And you're obviously you can't go after the minors, because I don't think an 8-month-old can be aware that they are taking out a fraudulent loan, or maybe they think it's a valid loan and they just didn't know quite how to expense it. But the people over 120, you can clearly go after them because they know better. And what would be one of their names? They took out these loans, and here's the thing: did they pay them back? Is that why you can't charge anyone because of these people who, because of a clerical issue, their age apparently appears to be underage or appears to be over 120 because of a fault in the software? Did they pay these loans back so you can't even call it fraud? Because otherwise, why wouldn't you just round some of these people up? I mean, while you're not being able to round up anywhere near the immigrants that you say is, are defrauding the U.S. and are running around seeking asylums because they're used to being in an asylum. Not a one. We're not going to get a name.
Well, they should be in the Guinness Book of World Records. And we should not be giving out.
Also, trite bullshit. Don't give me this kind of like they should be in the Guinness. Who should be in the Guinness Book? What's their name? There's so many of them. There's millions. You can name the same fucking survey 3 goddamn times. You can't bring up one of these fraudsters? One. Fucking one.
Loans to babies. So the youngest recipient of a Small Business Administration loan is a 9-month-old, which is a very, very precocious baby we're talking about here.
Yes, we've heard that one as well. And what was the result of that? Hold on. Let's show. Hold on. I know. Fuck me. I know I'm over time, but precocious baby crew. No one maybe they're dead. India today. DOGE found $330 million to children under. Its physical claims child under 11 secured $330 million. Legislative DOGE Washington stand. Reveals. Okay, revealed the Department of Government Efficiency DOGE, 115 years old. Hold on, comment there. Open link in new tab. 1 second. Okay, that was on their thing. Musk, while wearing a Trump is right about everything. It says DOGE uncovered 330. Okay, 11 years. 9-month-old who received a $100,000 loan. Could blockchains have stopped the fraud? It also hold on. We're assuming that that's actually what. Yeah, this just fucking. This whole story on Yahoo Finance is Benny Johnson retweeting what the ag sec said.
The case of fraud was with the Small Business Administration, where they were handing out loans, $330 million worth of loans to people under the age of 11. I think the.
Okay, great. Where, and this is, by the way, this is the revealed. Here you go. As of Friday, it requires date of birth collection for pauses the direct loan process for those under 18 and above 120. Basic sanity checks. No more loans to babies or people who are left. Show more. In 2020, here you go. 21 issued 3,095 loans, including PPP, for borrowers over 115 years old who are still marked as alive. In one case, 157 years old, individual is 36K. This is the rage age count. 0 to 9, 38 million, 44 million to 10 to 19, yada, yada. And then it tapered off. And then there was one loan up to here. Is this okay. Does anybody think this qualifies as actual evidence? Why the fuck wouldn't you post the whole document? Because it's fraud? Because this is the fraud? Because you're lying? Because this is bullshit? Because this is, according to the Social Security database, these are the numbers of people in each age bucket with the death field set to false. Maybe Twilight is real and vampires collecting. Haha. Okay. This is their site. 3,095 loans, including for 333 million to borrowers over 115 years old who are still marked as alive in the Social Security database. In one case, 157 years old, 36K in loans. No, this does not qualify as evidence at all. Asshole. DOGE is looking for help from the general public. Fuck off, commies. Fast forward, Social Security has been executing a major cleanup of the records. Approximately 9.9 million number holders, all listed age 120, have been marked deceased. Another negative under 2 million to go. Won't affect the money wasn't going out the door anyways. The Institute of Peace receives 55 million in congressional taxpayer funds. In the past 10 years, USA has transferred 13 million to its private equity account, private endowment, mainly used for private events and travel. Under Kasim an ex-Taliban member who was Afghanistan's former school of protocol, 2.2 million to its outside account. So the accounting is actually there. They didn't discover this stuff. This is all public record inside the government. $4 million tax on a museum to tell selective story of EPA history. It costs $600K per year to operate, even though external it came through in the last 9 months. Today we are closing it. Media can't, I guess you can't post it then if you closed it. 4.3 billion COVID era funds remained unused and mostly dormant. Thanks to the work of Secretary LCD, 1.4 was recovered and returned directly to the Treasury General account. Team is moving urgently to return the remaining 2.9 billion, which of course will leave us open to another pandemic. Contract over the last 3 days, agencies terminated 121 wasteful contracts with a ceiling value of 351 million, savings yeah, that's how much they started as. They put that first, and savings of 156, so about half, including a $1.6 million DEI contract for strategies for implementing social emotional learning. Yeah, for neurodivergent people to actually be able to learn, more than likely. And a $143,000 Department of Transportation contract for social media support services. Why wouldn't the DOT have social media support services to reach out to people? I mean, it is transportation. Tyler in the interior, okay, assholes. Brett Baier, and okay, that's him posting this. In America Last Grant, okay. Great work today, USDOL, at canceling $577 million in America Last grants for $237 million in savings, including gender equity in the Mexican workplace, worker empowerment in South America, improving respect for workers' rights in agricultural supply chains in Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador, elevating women's participation. Yeah, so this is basically just foreign aid that they're cutting. The Department of Labor, enhanced Social Security access and worker protections for internal migrant workers in Bangladesh, for safe and exclusive or inclusive work environments in Lesotho, because we have to be there. Yesterday, agency terminated 112 waste. Again, most of these are really minor, by the way. These are under Department of Labor and USAID. These are the things that they had that were broad discretionary stuff. So they're just killing all the discretionary stuff, which, by the way, every fucking president does when they come in. 4.78 and savings of 3.3. USDA consulting contract for Peru climate change activities. A whole $145,000. Yep. So they again, this is the scalpel impact. Okay.
So obviously it was just fraudulent. And what they do terrible things. They actually will see that a kid's been born. They will steal that kid's social security number and then take out a loan and leave that kid with a bad credit rating. There was literally a baby. The terrible things are being done is what we're saying.
And how?
Yeah, but those people get charged. That's not something that like it. And again, the efficiency part of it is if you ratchet up the difficulty of clarifying some of these things, you make it harder for the average user. So there's this, this balancing act you do. Do we make the security aspects of it so high that that it hurts the people that need it the most, that are most vulnerable? Is fraud, or do we have other ways of going after fraud, which is standard law enforcement?
Stopping these terrible things.
And you can stop it? I mean,
we are stopping it.
The reason this is happening is because the two systems are not talking to each other.
Yes.
Right? And so you don't know at the Small Business Administration that you're giving a loan to a 9-month-old, which happened in one case, because you're not cross-referencing that with the Social Security Administration data that has birth dates. So that very, very simple fix eliminates tremendous fraud. And that there are multiple systems across the government where the systems are not speaking.
Real quick. Also, we'll grab this over here, move this out of the way. SPDA fiscal budget. Let's see. Okay. Principal program portfolio for the last 4 years of the Small Business Administration, shall we? 2021, $713 billion, total assets 582, total liabilities 503, 58 million. These are just in millions, sorry. I think dollars and thousands. So it's billions. Yeah. So 58 billion in total net position, 346 cost of operations, 346 billion, 1.3 trillion total budgetary resources altogether. In 2021. 2022 drops the total budgetary resources and all this stuff drops. The principal program portfolio drops $200 billion. Total assets drops $200 billion. Total liabilities drop $200 billion. Total net position is negative 17 billion, I guess, because they're not, this was all 2021 was all the COVID spending, followed by 412 billion, and then a slight jump up at 453 from the 412 position, but still lower than 2022 in 2024. $1.3 trillion total budgetary resources in 2021, $67 billion in 2024, before the DOGE folks came in. So SBA is already down on a wind down of the post-COVID stuff, which is where a lot of this shit happened. Fraudsters jumped in because the economy and everything was collapsing, a lot of which all this debt was accrued during the Trump years, specifically during 2020.
With one another. And if you just solve that simple problem, you would solve a huge amount of fraud.
That seems like something that the House Republicans and the Senate members would simply have added over the years if they gave a shit.
Are you surprised? So one of the ways that, like, one of the key tricks that the fraudsters pull is that they will use the fact that someone is marked as live, and as sort of just that Social Security number is marked as live in Social Security, and then get disability and unemployment insurance for a dead person because the
Great. Name and shame. One of them. Where'd the check go? If that's how they do it, you should be able to catch them, right? Let's see. Or is it nothing new and we always catch these people? Sorry. Social Security. Whoops. Fraudster. Arrested. Something like that. What do you think? I can type. Hold on. Shit. I don't need emojis, you weirdo. All right. By the way, how you guys doing? Have I lost you yet? Okay. Let's see. A retired administrative law judge and a lawyer and a psychologist were charged in federal indictment unsealed for the roles in a scheme to fraudulently obtain more than $600 million in federal disability payments for thousands of claimants at justice.gov. Oh, shit. Date April 5th, 2016. Anybody remember who was president in 2016, in April of 2016? Me neither. If only we had a system in place. That was just the first one that came up. Well, let's go. Fraud enforcement actions. Let's see. Here we go. Archives. Look at this. Child support, CIA, reportable advanced fraud, self-disclosures, grant and contractor fraud, state enforcement, COVID-19. Okay, here we go. Lamont woman indicted for posing as caregiver to steal from elderly victims in Worcester and Middlesex counties. Attorney General Allen Newsom announces upstate man charged with stealing thousands of dollars and a car from vulnerable adult. National pleads guilty to passport fraud and other offenses. Walgreens government pays to pay over $2.8 million in settle allegations of overbilling Medicaid programs. You don't say. Sentenced to prison for electronically prescribing fraud scheme. Jury finds physician guilty of operating a pill mill from his DC medical practice. 3 convicted of. I wonder if that guy was arrested at some point. Read more at justice.gov. Debussy Joseph Okafor, 65, Upper Marlboro, Maryland, was found guilty today in federal court illegally distributing narcotics. Okay, this is the cash. Read more at justice.gov. Let's trace it down. Jury finds physician guilty of operating pill mill from his DC medical practice. To distribute controlled substances. According to court documents, evidence trial between May 2021 and April 2023. Sole practitioner, blah, blah, between Okafor. When was he arrested? Doesn't say. Okay. I'm assuming someplace during the Biden administration. We know this fraud. They bust people for fraud all the fucking time.
Databases don't talk to each other. All they got was from Social Security is like, is this person alive? Yes, they're not alive. It's falsely marked. Person is falsely marked as alive in Social Security, but they didn't. But that person, a fraudster can now get unemployment and disability from a dead person. This is happening all the time at scale.
Are you?
It's not happening all the time at scale.
Surprised at
scale? Literally is like a statistically significant amount of these over 120 people. That would mean that it's a material size difference in the payouts of Social Security. It ain't. At scale is a bullshit phrase.
Some of the legal efforts and some of the judges that have weighed in, there's about 8 or 10 now of these cases that are at least temporary holds. They're being challenged by the DOJ.
Right.
Are you surprised by that pushback?
Well, it's the DC Circuit is notorious for having a very far-left bias.
Yeah, it's not just coming from the DC area, dummy.
And when you look at the people close to some of these judges, where are they working? Oh, they're working at these NGOs. Oh, they're the ones getting this money. Does that seem like
right? The ones who actually are involved in real charities. They spend a lot of their times, looking after people who are disabled or starving or need help desperately, and so they're aware of the reality of these things.
A system that lacks corruption? It sounds like corruption to me.
Why? No, it doesn't. You have to prove that the money that they're getting as part of those NGOs isn't going to something useful or helpful, or that they don't believe it. If it's corruption, then they're just being paid for, I guess, no-show jobs, or the group that they're working with doesn't actually do what it says it does.
Last thing, do you guys all see this?
Finally, the last fucking thing.
As a patriotic duty? Is that?
Yes, mostly duty, but, yeah, it's a patriotic. So.
Really what this is about?
It's essential.
Very much so. I do, 100%. I was running 5 businesses in Houston, and I left that. I left great people to do this. And
right, and they couldn't have been happier. I felt it was my duty for them as Americans to get away from them.
My wonderful wife said, go for it. And here.
Yeah, she couldn't wait for me to leave.
I am, but I feel like this is me giving back to the country.
Do you? And taking a little bit, too.
If we don't do this, we're sunk. The ship...
Gibberish.
Unless this exercise is successful, the ship of America will sink.
Nonsense.
That's why we're doing it.
Well, Jeff,
lies.
I really appreciate the time today, and hopefully it took some of the myth and mystery out of DOGE.
It did not. Well, except it showed us that a bunch of these guys view government politics and the service of government as a business or a game show.
And what's happening behind the scenes.
Thank you.
We asked on X, your platform, for some, questions. And here is C. Sperling.
Yeah.
He writes, are they happy with the speed at which they're making changes? Are there any changes they would like to make but haven't yet?
It's funny that they're all constructive questions. These aren't like. Are you sure there weren't any like the use of the R word or anything just kind of thrown about? Because this seems a very un-ex post.
Well, I think in the context of the government, we're moving like lightning. In the context of what I'm
Yes, yeah, at a picnic where children are playing.
used to moving, it's slower than I'd like. What seems like incredibly fast action by government standards is it's slower than I'd like, to be totally frank. But we're all making solid progress.
No, you're not. Gibberish, lies.
Very sort of thorny problem, a tough problem. Really, it's kind of like
Did you eat the other guys?
painful homework, frankly, is reconciling all of the government databases to eliminate the waste and fraud.
The assumed waste and fraud of which you have not been able to show.
These databases don't talk to each other, and that's really
Yes, we heard that part already.
the source of that's the.
God damn. Sorry, chat room. I gotta say, like, this is necessary because this is the real president talking. But I gotta say, this seems to be cleanup more than anything else. This seems to be him trying desperately to, like, they've looked at the pushback, they've made a list of the biggest conflicts and criticisms, and they're trying to push back on them with this, like, we're caring and we really are the tech support and we just want these databases to talk to each other. We're just doing a couple of tweaks on the computers themselves. We're not really, copying and reformatting your hard drive. It's just fucking stupid. Hold on, we'll go back to, we're almost done though. Just want you to know, we're almost done.
Biggest vulnerability for fraud is the fact that these databases don't talk to each other. So we need to reconcile the databases.
No, we don't. Nope, nobody thinks that the biggest cost in the federal government and what's causing us to waste money and all this stuff is fucking databases. Nobody.
Frankly, painful homework, but it has to be done. And
no, it doesn't, and it's not going to solve the problem.
It will greatly improve the efficiency of the government systems.
No, you can't even promise that, because just because these things can talk to each other just means the fraud could happen across departments quicker.
Talk about any plans to approach cuts at the Pentagon. You're in there.
The Pentagon has not passed an audit in a very long time.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't list every dime they spend and where on some sort of open source website. I'm trying to think of a reason why they wouldn't do it, but I got nothing.
I mean, as crazy as it sounds, they will lose $20–30 billion a year, and
no, they don't.
They don't know where. They literally don't know where it went.
No, they're literally not going to tell you.
I mean, Senator Collins was telling me about how she gave the Navy $12 billion for extra submarines, got 0 extra submarines, and then when she held a hearing, said, where'd the $12 billion go? They didn't know.
Talking to those guys, and you have
what a weird edit.
A great team from all over the country.
Yeah, they're great. It's almost like you found every dude that HR kicked off of a app someplace, the board of directors at an app for being gropey in the workplace.
You don't have to be here. You don't have to be here.
Yes, please stop.
There's now been these many cases of violence.
Go away.
And vandalism at Tesla dealerships.
Oh, shit.
How does that affect your employees, your customers?
Are they gonna play my
what does it
footage?
mean to you? Like, how have you taken that in?
Well, I think a great wrong is being done to the people of Tesla and to our customers. I mean, Tesla is a peaceful company that has made great cars, great products. That's all.
Yes, you have almost nothing to do with the cars and the business itself. I think you just signed off on the logo.
It's done. Hasn't harmed anyone. And yet people are committing violence.
Hey, that's my budget. Look at that. Cha-ching.
They're firebombing Tesla dealers.
I think. I mean, I haven't made a dime off it yet, but I have to assume there's some sort of 90-day window because it's fucking everywhere.
They're shooting guns.
I mean, it blows up. I got the footage of the thing popping off.
They're threatening people. They're issuing death threats against me and other Tesla personnel. What are they doing this for? Why?
I think maybe because you're a South African pro-apartheid Nepo baby who's friends with Vladimir Putin, speaks Russian, gets your aluminum for your vehicles from them, and it's a country that has attempted to rape its way across Ukraine, and everything you do as far as whispering in Trump's ear is to benefit Russia over the people of Ukraine. And on top of that, you have some sort of weird plan to chip the brains of 2 billion people, starting with everyone in the United States and working outward. And also, you're just kind of a creep. And hashtag Doge is a heist. I don't support it, but it's not a mystery.
What's happening, it seems to me, is they're being fed propaganda by the far left.
No, I think you're the one that did the Nazi sign. I don't think they don't have to be. You're enough of an asshole. They don't need, I mean, I don't agree with this shit. Like, I think it's terrible. Don't blow shit up. Don't set fire to buildings and cars. Arson should be treated as attempted murder because you are wantonly endangering the lives of other people. Because look at the Palisades. If a fire spreads, people fucking die. Stop. That said, the people that are doing this aren't doing it because they were fed propaganda.
And they believe it. It's really unfortunate.
So all the people who don't set your cars on fire are fed the same propaganda, but they don't believe it? And so I guess the far left has to work on their propaganda ROI?
But the real problem is not the people. It's not like the crazy guy that firebombs a Tesla dealership. It's the people pushing the propaganda that caused that guy to do it.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, it's not enough of this. Like, what are you going to start saying now? Words are violence? What we've got to curtail free speech because it makes some people violent? What does that sound like, asshole? Where's Jordan Peterson when you need him? No, they did it because they wanted to, and because they had an excuse to do it.
Those are the real villains here.
No, they aren't. No. Rachel Maddow calling you a dickhead, or Thunderfoot or somebody like that doing a fuck you video. Elon Musk is actually stupid and has plans to turn the country into the tech native America is not why these people firebomb your shit.
And we're going to go after them. And the president
good.
made it clear we're going to go after them. The ones for
Oh, sorry, you're going to go after people's free speech. Nice.
Fighting the money, the ones pushing the lies and propaganda.
Sorry, how do you enforce? How do you convict someone for pushing lies and propaganda?
We're going after them.
Oh yeah, that looks like a gun barrel. It looks like you're trying to. Fuck it. No, you're not.
And it's been this evolution. I mean, the last administration was going to mandate electric vehicles, and now you see on.
And now look at you, asshole.
The far left, some efforts to go after electric vehicles. It's quite something.
No, they're not going after electric vehicles. No. They're not attacking his sites because they happen to have electric vehicles parked on the fucking lot, dummy. There's no irony. None. Nobody is attacking the fucking Cadillac dealership because it has an electric version of its SUV.
It is ironic.
No, it is not. It's not ironic at all. The irony is that you become a maggot more than anything, considering the image you are selling. But it's not even ironic. It's just you're a bullshitter.
I mean, it seems like the most ironic outcome is the most likely.
Are you making an attempt at poetry in my fucking presence?
But yeah.
Yeah, what I said just now was dumb.
I mean,
personally, it's got to take a toll.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
This is great so far. no dead air. It's exciting, you know, riveting, I would say.
I think there's some real evil out there.
Really? And you think it's people setting fire to cars that have no one in them and spray painting doorways? Again, I'm against it, but worse than the Epstein clients and why they're hiding that list?
And we have to overcome it.
I mean,
yeah. Did you say that to Ghislaine Maxwell when you called her in her cell last week?
You have been called a Nazi, a white supremacist,
apartheid, and Nazi salutes might. I don't know why people would think
fascist.
I mean, they've got the sort of their
just
normal
to name
playbook.
a few. Yeah.
I mean, they've still got it. They haven't. I guess they still need to call me Stalin, Mussolini, you know, whatever, Genghis Khan or whatever.
Yeah. Yes. No one more white supremacist than Genghis Khan.
I mean, they've called the president all these things.
Yeah, but he's the president of the United States. I would say you're a wannabe. I mean, you're a proto-eugenicist, just like Peter Thiel.
I think at one point there was a magazine cover which said the president was worse than President Trump was worse than Hitler, Mussolini, and Stalin combined.
Yeah, remember that magazine? I remember that magazine. Remember that magazine came out? They said that? Like, oh my God. And I was like, how dare this magazine say this? If you can't say the title of the magazine, shut the fuck up.
The president hasn't killed anyone.
Have you, I would argue that he's responsible for all the dead that happened in Afghanistan when we were leaving because he released the 5,000 Taliban fighters that gained control of the city and allowed the ISIS-K suicide bomber in because they wanted to stop the brain drain that was happening at the airport, which is why they had the explosion going off. But on top of that, he's bombed a bunch of places and he's told Netanyahu to fill your boots when it comes to Gaza. So yeah, he has.
He hasn't started any wars. In fact, he's good at stopping wars.
Is he? Is he good at stopping wars? He's great at it. Like the one that stopped what was the one that stopped? It just fuck, it's been so long. It's been like a month. Which one stopped? Besides the one that I mean, we are going to start a war with Iran in a month, but the one that stopped, no, that was Biden. Shit.
So this is obviously
like what? Sorry. What one is he good at stopping? For real? I'm dead serious. What war has Trump stopped? Biden stopped the Afghanistan war, period. Ugly as it was. Worst and most embarrassing day, blah, 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 but we're not fucking in there, are we?
They're pushing these lies.
You mean like that Trump stopped wars?
And why do they push these lies? And I think that we need to hold people responsible for pushing.
Yes, absolutely. We should jail people for lying.
These lies. Because those lies almost got the president killed.
By a Republican. Sorry. Rachel Maddow and MSNBC, and they're responsible for the 2 Republicans, Trump voters that shot at him.
What's something that people wouldn't know about the president? You're pretty close to him now. You spend a lot of time with him. What's something that people wouldn't know?
Yeah, tell us a secret. Is he as smelly as he seems, or is your nostrils too fucked up from gacking Adderall with him to notice?
I think the president is a good man. I think he is.
You're right. That would be something most people don't know, even the people around him. That's something he likes to keep a secret. So much of a secret that he won't even behave as if he's terrible just to hide that wonderful secret.
Honest man, and I've yet to see him do anything mean.
That's because you don't care about the people he's against.
Or anything that is wrong, that I would say morally wrong.
Yeah, because you're on the same moral side as him. I mean, if you want to continue the analogy you were using, Himmler didn't have a problem with Hitler morally, because he thought all the things he was doing were justified and wanted to do everything he could to help.
Not even once.
You know, a lot is coming your way, but sometimes you say stuff or post stuff that gets attention.
Gets attention. Oh, you mean that's awful or stupid or wrong?
You give it out, in other words. Democratic Arizona Senator Mark Kelly posted on X about his trip to Ukraine to push for continuing to send U.S. weapons and support there, and you posted that he was a traitor. Well, why do that?
Well, I think somebody...
Fuck you. Oh, shit. Look at that. I hit pause on it, and it kicked out again. I can answer for you, Brett, because he's a scumbag.
You say stuff or post stuff that gets attention. Ukraine to push for continuing to send U.S. weapons and support there, and you posted that he was a traitor. Well, why do that?
Well, I think somebody should care about the interests of the United States above the interests of another country. And if they don't, they're a traitor.
Yeah, but he said...
Wait a minute. How is caring about Ukraine not part of caring about the United States as an ally and stopping Russia's salami slicing its way all the way across Europe?
Decorated veteran, a former astronaut, a sitting U.S. senator.
It doesn't mean it's okay for him to put the interests of another country above America.
He isn't. He's saying their cause is our cause, that we are aligned with them.
Obviously, there are some Republicans who think supporting Ukraine is the right thing.
And also, by the way, Illuminati vagina, just saying, Elon Musk, hey, maggots, Alex Jones, where are you guys? He's doing the Illuminati vagina, and suddenly it's okay.
Thing still, but there is a battle.
Also, what the fuck is the screaming? Is that X in the background yelling?
Back and forth about how
are they torturing a dog?
Do you think it comes to an end?
Well, I think there will be a negotiated peace, and the thing that we should be concerned about is we should have empathy for the thousands of people that are dying every day in trenches, for no movement in the lines.
Sorry. You mean the trenches? You mean the entrenched party? You mean the Russians? We should have sympathy for them. If they move the lines, if they're able to capture more of Ukraine, then we just have no sympathy for them, I guess. But if they're not moving forward, we should feel sorry for them that they don't get a chance, to kill Ukrainians?
So the borders remain the same. For the past 2 years, thousands of people have died.
No. Ukraine took part of Kursk for a while. The border has moved a lot. And in the very beginning of it, they pushed them all the way back from Kyiv.
Every week for nothing. For what?
For the hubris of Vladimir Putin and the raping rights of the Donbass and Luhansk and Donetsk areas.
And I take great offense at those who put the appearance of goodness over the reality of it.
You mean like you're doing right now? What the fuck are you talking about? The Ukrainians are fighting for their lives. And you're like, it's a wash, guys. This is a waste. The Russians aren't gaining much ground. We should just stop and let them keep what they got.
Those who virtue signal and say, oh, we can't give in to Russia, but have no solution to stopping thousands of...
I have one. I got a solution. I do right now. An entirely coordinated effort by NATO forces to push them back to the 91 borders. How about that we just do that? How about just a big old get the fuck out campaign? How about Russia just leave since it's not their fucking country? I mean, that would solve it.
Kids dying every day.
Right, because Russia attacked Ukraine. Ukraine did not invade Russia. This is not a one-to-one. It's not there's not enough blame to go around.
They just want that to continue forever.
No, we don't. We just don't want the Ukrainians to be taken by Russia as an aggressive force because we know what they will do with the territory once they take it. They will install a legal system like the kind that Brittany Griner saw, and they will send Wagner groups in as partisan infiltrators to rape and murder like they do all over Africa. Like you give a fuck.
I have contempt for such people. I don't want to make that clear.
Yeah.
You do not. No, he doesn't. You are painting the opposition in a false light, specifically, so that you can support Vladimir Putin in his war of aggression against the Ukrainian people. And your argument is, if the rape victim would just accept it, they won't have to die.
So you're optimistic
because they're virtue signaling, and their lack of a solution means that kids don't have a father. It means that parents lost a son.
White people is what he means. He means there's too many white people dying in this because he doesn't give a rat's ass about Sudan or even Israel, Gaza.
For what?
Because Vladimir Putin wants to do this to Poland and Lithuania and Latvia and Croatia and ultimately Finland at some point. That's for what? And he means it. And look, I would like to say real quick, what the fuck is this like look of righteous indignation? It was like almost this chest pounding. These poor people. Like, first of all, we don't want any of the Ukrainians to die. We want Russia to get the fuck out. But bending over and allowing them to keep fighting is how we got in this mess in the first place. And the idea that we're just going to trust Russia, the solution, here's the solution, 91 borders. Short of that, you can keep Luhansk and Donetsk temporarily. The Ukrainians get Crimea because you've lost it fair and fucking square. And we get NATO troops all in the area to protect the area as peacekeepers for a decade. If it worked between South Korea and North Korea, it can work in the fucking Donbass. How about that? And again, don't bitch at us. Trump said he could solve it in a fucking phone call.
Nothing.
So you're optimistic that the president's plan...
No, he isn't. Look at his face.
...might work.
The president's plan is the only thing that will work.
What is it? What plan? There isn't one.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
Jesus fucking Christ. And they had to cut at that point because, he just slapped Brett Baier in the fucking face for bringing it up? Good Lord. Well, we made it through. And the tail end of it, I think, is very, it gets a good indication of the, I think his fake self-righteous behavior is indicative of his ego and the illusion of self-worth that he has. This is like delusions of grandeur. Gives him this I am fighting for some cause, which he absolutely is not. My response to him calling Mark Kelly a traitor is to call Elon Musk a traitor. I do not believe that he is patriotic towards the United States at all. I don't think he has any allegiance whatsoever to the Constitution or the citizens of this country. I don't think any more than fucking Peter Thiel does. I think the whole Greenland thing is so that they can move up there and create a doomsday vault for themselves. But they want to be under the guard and protection of the U.S. taxpayer while it happens because they know it's the safest place in the world. They're not going to just go hollow out a volcano like Dr. Evil. Sorry. Did I get that right? It's Mr. Evil, isn't it? Hold on. I always get these mixed up.
Dr. Evil. I didn't spend 6 years in evil medical school to be called Mr. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry. It took me a long time to get to that, but I feel like it was worth it. And I would also like to say that it looks like Musk is, shall we say, stress eating?
Leon's getting larger.
And I'd like to say, on the one hand, three things. One, they're lying when they say they've been transparent and forthcoming. They found tons of waste, fraud, and abuse. Flat out lie, garbage, made up, fictional. They're borrowing shit that's been on the chopping block or already been removed from previous administrations. They're going back decades to point out fraud and shit like that. They're not bringing anybody to trial on any of these things. So which should be really easy if they're stumbling on it everywhere, if it's at scale everywhere. You should be able to at least give 10 examples, much less 100 or 150 at all times. If there's millions of these cases, if you can't do that, shut the fuck up. Secondly, I do not believe he is a patriot. I believe he qualifies as a traitor and puts the interests of Russia and the sort of business sphere of the world over the citizenry of the United States anyways. And the reason he's, he wants this, he's so acting like he's concerned about the debt is because he believes he can sell a service to the United States, get these big contracts, because without government contracts, all of his businesses fail. And third, just like this posturing, self-absorbed horseshit is getting really tired. It's no wonder that his like the polling on him is worse than even Trump. Hal, thanks, Hal. Always leave the show feeling worse about our country going down in flames. Oh no, I'm not actually worried that this asshole will have some sort of control point anytime soon. Fear not. And thank God these guys are so ham-handed and stupid. Because again, just like January 6th, if any of those people had had any brains, we'd be living in Germany right now, like East Germany. But they don't. They're morons. So is Trump. So is Musk. So are all the people around him. And they're all kind of, high on the scent of their own farts. So I think we're going to be okay. And largely because they think, I was about to say they think they're going to solve everything and come out smelling like a rose, but I actually don't believe they think that. I think largely they're going to think that they think we'll be out the door before anybody notices. And I don't think that's going to be the case. And I think there will be a comeuppance at one point over the next, couple of administrations, as it were. So. And oh, thanks. All right. And that's it. I'm gonna wrap up for the night. Thank you guys so much. I know it was a long one tonight, but we got through all that shit, and I think it's like we have a responsibility to cover this stuff so that everybody knows. Because there's this, it's easier to create the illusion that this guy knows what the fuck he's talking about when you only see snippets. Or you only see, what they want you to see of it. But when you watch the whole thing in context, you realize he's just another self-involved megalomaniacal billionaire asshole with dreams of ruin the world. And he's gonna fail. I'm telling you. Now, will he go down easy? Maybe not. But I will say I have a lot of faith that the world is more complex than he understands. And it's going to... That is the alligator he's wrestling with. Is humanity. And he's never been good at understanding the needs of real people. And he's getting a crash course. See you tomorrow. Oh, hit those emojis. And don't forget to hit the like, share the show, etc., etc. Thanks, CSL. Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, Mark.